These days, little people are seen featured in a plethora of movies and on television series. Many of them even star in their own reality TV shows, and we have followed them for many years on various shows such as Little Women, The Little Couple, Little People Big World, just to name a few. So I would like to share with you 4 different classic TV shows that featured little people. Okay, so the first classic television show that I want to talk about is Golden Girls, and this is actually one of my favorite series. Okay, so season 1, episode 13 is called A Little Romance, and it features Brent Collin, who played the role of Dr. Jonathan Newman. Billy Barty, who actually founded the organization Little People of America, also has a cameo appearance in the middle of the show. So in this episode, Rose starts dating a psychologist who just started working at the clinic where she works. Okay, so at first, Rose was very secretive about her relationship with this man, with the other ladies. She didn't share too much information, and she dodged a lot of the questions that the other ladies had regarding her relationship with this new man. Blanche, sort of being the nosy, sneaky lady that she is, decided to invite Dr. Jonathan to dinner at their house so that all the ladies could meet Rose's new man. And this was much to Rose's affliction. And Rose didn't want to share too much information, so the other ladies didn't really know that he was a little person until the moment that he rang that doorbell. So at first the other ladies were really taken aback, and they didn't know how to act or what to say. This is a comedy show, so of course the short jokes ensued.
May I take your height? A hat! Thank you. Shrimp? Why don't we just start dinner?
Oh, good. What are we having? Short ribs.
So as the other ladies started to get to know Jonathan during the dinner, they realized that he is a delightful person. He's intelligent, charismatic, and charming. At one point during the dinner, Dr. Newman said that everyone has something that they would like to change about themselves or about their lives. And getting beyond that is really what is key. And he also says that overall, he is happy with who he is. Dorothy basically summed it up by saying at one point that he has the most positive outlook of anyone that she's ever met. So afterwards, Dr. Jonathan and Rose go out to dinner, and he ends up dumping her at dinner and basically saying, "I'm sorry, but I have to break up with you because you're not Jewish." At first, she was very insulted and pretty taken aback. She can't believe that she is the one that's being dumped. After all, she was the one that was embarrassed about introducing him to her friends, which, by the way, I have since learned that this reaction or this behavior is actually a reflection of sort of one's own inner turmoils, more so than anything else. But I'll have to save that discussion for a different vlog. Okay, so now going back to the dinner, the tension starts to escalate a little bit, and just as it starts to build, Dr. Jonathan sort of makes a lighthearted joke about people staring because he's a snazzy dresser. And at that point, they both laugh, they become more calm, and they both start to gain their composure. So the second classic television show that features little people in one of his episodes is Dharma and Greg. Season 4, episode 21 is called Pride and Prejudice. Okay, so this episode is actually really exciting for me because it features Mark Povinelli, who is the current president of the Little People of America organization. And it also features Meredith Eaton, who is a famous actress as well. She's so well known for other television series that she stars in. So in this episode, Greg gets a call from an old college friend and his wife, Ray and Kate, who just happened to be in town for, I think, a dental convention. And so they call and say, "We would like to stop by and say hi." So Greg and Dharma say, "Yes, of course, come over." And at that moment, Greg says, oh, just so you know, Ray and his wife are little people. Even though Greg just casually mentions this, Dharma makes a really big deal about him feeling that he needs to give her a heads up. However, the funny thing is that Dharma is so uptight and extra sensitive and cautious about being politically correct during the visit that she ends up making it awkward for everyone. In the end, Greg points out that treating them like they're not different is almost like a form of prejudice in itself.
Honey, I don't want to make a big deal out of this, but, trying so hard to treat them like they're not different is ignoring who they are. In a way, it might even be another form of prejudice.
Okay, I actually love this scene because I do feel like I've been in Dharma's shoes before, where I've been consciously trying too hard to be politically correct in a situation. And unfortunately, it ends up being unnecessarily uncomfortable for everyone in the room. So maybe you've been in this situation before as well. Comment down below if you have. So towards the very end of the episode, Dharma's parents say something that's very insightful.
I want you to hear this. Go ahead, Dharma.
I was just saying to Abby that I've been struggling with this prejudice that I have toward little people, and my instinct is to be so careful about what I say that I can barely talk around them. Now I've gotten to the point where I don't even want to be around little people.
Oh, Dharma, we don't call them little people.
What do we call them?
People.
You know there's no little people, there's no black people, there's no yellow people, there's no men, there's no women, there's just life. Ever changing, ever flowing.
Overall, I can really appreciate how the episode portrays little people and the lesson that this episode provides as well. Okay, so now the third classic television show that features a little person is Sex and the City. Season 3, episode 2 is called Politically Erect. Anthony Alessandro is featured in this episode, and although he's not actually a little person technically, he plays the part of one in this particular episode. Kim Cattrall, who plays Samantha in the show, is actually 5'7", and in order to show that there was a very large difference between the two's heights, she actually had to stand on a box during most of the filming. Okay, so in this episode, Samantha meets a man named Jeff Fenton. They meet at a bar and she actually doesn't realize that he's a little person until after they exchange contact information and make arrangements to meet again. He stands up to leave, and that's when she comes to the realization that he's actually a little person. So one thing that I actually really do appreciate from this episode is that at one point, Samantha actually uses the M word to describe Jeff Fenton when she's talking to Carrie and her other friends. And Carrie actually steps in and corrects her, and she says, oh, that's actually not a politically correct term. The more appropriate term to use is little person or dwarfism. So it was an educational moment, and I actually really appreciate it because a lot of people watch the show, so I think it did provide a little bit of educational value. It's a brief scene, but an educational one as well. Okay, so now getting back to the storyline, Jeff gets upset at Samantha when he realizes that she's actually trying to ditch him when they're at a party together. And he ends up boasting about his bedroom skills and tells her that she won't regret anything if she gives him a chance. She agrees and is pleasantly surprised. Okay, so now the following night during dinner, she gets turned off when she notices that he shops at the boys section in the department store. And she tries to break things off. He ends up saying to her, so I shop at the boys section. So what? What's the big deal? And he makes her realize that even though he may shop at the children's section, she's the one that's really acting childish. So they end up walking back towards the dinner table, and he breaks the tension by making a joke about needing a booster seat. She laughs, and it's actually a really nice, light-hearted ending and a very nice lesson about focusing on what really matters. So the fourth and last classic TV show that I want to talk about that features an episode with a little person is Friends. Season 10, episode 11, the one where the stripper cries. Okay, so in this episode, Danny DeVito stars as a stripper. In real life, Danny DeVito has a form of dwarfism called multiple epiphyseal dysplasia. So in this episode, Rachel and Monica make a last-minute call for a male stripper. They're throwing a bachelorette party for Phoebe, and Phoebe insists on wanting a male stripper. So they're all excited when there's a knock on the door from someone named Officer Goodbody. And then enters Danny DeVito's character. So Phoebe begins to cringe when Officer Goodbody starts to dance. And he gets insulted. And then he starts to argue a little bit with Phoebe about it. So I really like this episode because Danny DeVito is very funny, he's very entertaining, and although he gets a little bit of heat from Phoebe for wearing what she can only assume is a child's Halloween costume, he does stand up for himself, and he does have a moment of triumph in the end when he decides it's going to be his last dance and he's gonna finish it after all. So let me know in the comments section if you recommend any other TV shows that feature little people. And if you enjoyed this, hit the like button and please subscribe. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye for now.